You would think there are only so many ways to underscore how bad the drought is here in New Mexico, but each day brings another indicator. In more than 80% of the state, the drought is at a level of, in quotes here, extreme, but get ready for this. In the most populous parts of New Mexico, right up and down the Rio Grande corridor, it's even worse. Characterized as exceptional. That's the worst you can get by their standards. Down south, April saw not a single release of water from Elephant Butte Reservoir. The predictions growers in that part of the state have for themselves are dire. Here to take a grim look ahead, editor-in-chief of the New Mexico Law Review, Sophie Martin, is back. Founder of the website nmtelegram.com, Matthew Reichbach returns. Former New Mexico House Republican Whip Daniel Foley is here. And from the New Mexico Watchdog, editor Rob Nikolewski. Dan, can growers survive this kind of unprecedented drought, unprecedented in the last 100 years? Here's what we know now in the reporting. If you're a small farmer, say under 1,000 acres, you're in big trouble. If you're under 100 acres, it's a catastrophe.
Yep.
How do these guys work their way through this?
I don't think they do. I think the problem is that the value of water becomes, is it for agricultural use or is it for commercial use in communities? And we know that, when it's, 20 farmers down the river that want water or 5,000 families upriver, the 5,000 families have more votes. Right. And so I think we're at a real crossroads in this country when we talk about agriculture and the future of agriculture. We're becoming more and more dependent on food that's coming outside of our country. We're becoming less and less of a producer where we used to lead the world and everything like this. We're really stepping back. And I think that problem is I think we're in the process of seeing a shift in this country of where we're going to move the farming to. Is farming going to leave places like this and go to other places? I think in reality, the question is, in New Mexico, can votes beat out agriculture? You look at where it is. The water is right now in places like the Pecos Valley, Artesia, Roswell. They have water, and they have water to get by, to do what they need to do. They have more water than they have people to use that water. But it's being used for farming. It's being used to grow alfalfa, cotton, things like that. And that return on that farming product is so low right now. I mean, the margins are next to nothing, and everything keeps going up. And always have been.
Right.
But now you look at places like Sandoval County, Rio Rancho, Albuquerque, where people are growing. Intel needs water. Places like that that are, can bring in 500, 600, 1,000 jobs. And they're vying for that water. The problem is the farmer he's got a finite amount of resources that he can use to pay for that water, but corporations can pay tons of money for that water, and they're turning it to where, we're seeing now, you look at the deal that Rio Rancho's been buying up water rights down the river because they're going to these small farmers and saying, look, your farm is worth X, I'll give you Y for your water. Keep your farm. That's right. Stay living on the property. Keep your house. Keep your homestead. Keep everything. But let the water come to the city. I just don't think that they can win that battle as time goes on.
Sophie, what Dan's describing, you actually said it yourself, a fundamental shift. You said the country, but here in New Mexico, Sophie, is there a fundamental shift here afoot? If some of these crops or water-heavy usage, farmers are going to have to rethink this kind of thing, because at 35 grand and up for a well, for digging a well, if you have no more river water to use, that's a tough spot for any farmer to be in.
Well, and the 35 grand, I mean, I just want to point out that if you are digging those wells, you may in fact be a sort of a junior, sort of have a lower priority in terms of your water rights, and you may be filtering water from owners who have more senior rights because you're digging that well and you're pulling from sources that belong to others. So that is of real concern as well.
And what's the 35 grand?
To drop a new well.
The cost to drop a new well, if you're
at a minimum, right?
So I mean, something that I think
Sandoval, in Sandoval County, it's over 150, 200,000
for sure.
It's quite expensive. So I mean, here's the thing. Here's the thing. I think that over the past 10 years, 20 years, we as a community, as a state, have continually failed to address the fact that we have been growing as a municipality. Now, admittedly, there's been some shrinkages. People have moved out of state in the current economy, but we have grown as a state. We have seen the growth in the Albuquerque area as being a positive, the growth in the Santa Fe area as being positive. This corridor, this corridor basically up toward Colorado as being positive, and we haven't really addressed appropriately the demands on water. Now, we have a tendency, I think, to think, we certainly all hear this conversation, oh, we need to be better about reuse, we need to be better about conservation, but the truth of the matter is, the greater Albuquerque area, when we flush our toilets, that water gets scrubbed and it gets sent down the river down to Elephant Butte, and it does get used for agriculture. I know that's a pretty picture, but it is being reused. There isn't a whole lot to be gained from that. And so we really don't have a lot of wiggle here, and we are seeing not just the result of poor planning in the state and in the Albuquerque metro area. Santa Fe has done, actually, I think, a much better job than Albuquerque has in its planning, but we're seeing a regional problem. Big problems up in Colorado, at Lake Mead, Lake Powell, huge problems up there.
I'm glad you mentioned that it is regional. We're part of a whole problem down here.
And, and frankly, global.
Sure. Yeah. And Rob, that report that our good friend John Fleck, who was here a few weeks ago we did a water show and as part of an earth show. And his reporting about what's happening downstream from Elephant Butte and Caballo Reservoir, as a matter of fact, as well, is very dire. I use that word again because these cats are used to getting 4 acre-foot of water per acre, 6 inches. And they may have one irrigation this spring, and then that's going to be it until about July or August. So a lot of people are saying, I'm not going to plant. I can't do it on this kind of water. It's crazy.
Yeah, I've written a couple of stories about this, and I've got a feeling, unfortunately, I'm going to be writing a lot more stories about this. And in writing these stories, New Mexico suffered a horrible, almost biblical drought back in the 1950s. We bounced back from that, but this one is now rivaling that. What my concern is, as a citizen of the state, is it looks like unless we start suddenly the climate changes as far as getting some more rain, we're going to see a series of rivalries. And it's not going to just pitting one party against another. It's going to be multiple people pitted against each other. It's going to be commercial interests against urban interests, against rural interests, and then also you've got Native Americans who have their own water rights.
Aboriginal rights too.
Right, and then you've got casinos that have cut their own deals and stuff. So this is, and I don't know what the answer is besides just asking God for more rain.
There you go, and that's starting to happen. Diocese.
It can't hurt, as the old Jewish phrase goes. It can't hurt.
I'm with you. Matthew, there's, again, going back to the small farmer, that seems to be the most vulnerable situation right now. There's a lot of, some opinions out there that I don't care what you do with plenty of water if you got under 100 acres, it's just not going to work these days. So again, that fundamental shift, are we set to lose a bunch of small farms here that we might never get back? Because Dan makes the point, if you got cash on the barrel as a big agri-farmer, this is not a bad situation for you to come in and buy some land on the dollar. You know what I'm saying?
Well, yeah.
Toughie.
My family has, they have land up in Cuesta, northern New Mexico, and every year it's like, how much water are we going to get this year? How much water? And then every year, the reservoir is a little bit lower, a little bit lower. And then if you go down south, you look at Elephant Butte, they didn't release any water in April this year.
Right.
For the first time?
Yeah,
first time ever.
Yep.
And I was reading something right before we came in, the Rio Ruidoso, it's at 23% of its normal. So it's at nothing. So that people aren't going to get any water down there. That's, pecans down south. I mean, all the plants, all the cheese plants in Roswell or in Portales and everything, all those use water, and Intel uses water.
So somebody needs to start picking favorites here. And that's going to be one of the unfortunate upshots, it seems to me, Dan, that you've got, somebody has to make a decision
by the polls. I mean, by the electorate. I mean, if you're a guy running for Congress, if you're a state legislator, if you're a governor, a mayor, I mean, you're going to fight for your little community. I get that. But if you're Steve Pierce, for instance, right now you're divided between Las Cruces and Roswell. Where are your votes? If you're in Washington, D.C., you look right now, the biggest fear about opening up the Pecos River Compact is, we got to discuss this with Texas. Well, our 3 House members don't compare to their 50-something House members.
That's right.
And this is turning into an even, people aren't talking about the issues that Mexico has brought against New Mexico at the UN, saying that we're not letting water get down to their country. It is a huge problem. The problem, though, with these smaller farms, water is just the tip of the iceberg for them. They cannot survive the transition right now with the taxes that are on these farms. So when someone passes away and tries to pass that farm on, you're seeing farms being lost daily where just the taxes, when the owner of that farm dies and tries to give it to their kid, they can't generate enough revenue, so they sell the farm. But the battle, I think, is going to be, the lines are being drawn between agriculture and urban use. And I think at the end of the day, if I was a betting man, urban use is going to win because urban use is where the votes are. If you're making policy, are you going to keep getting reelected if the 2 farmers that own 5,000 acres are happy and the 50,000 people upriver are annoyed, or are you going to get reelected if the 50,000 people have water coming out of their tap? The bigger issue we've got to look at in New Mexico, I think, is we spent a ton of time and resources on these 40-year water plans, and it's obvious that they're not working. It's obvious that they're flawed. It's obvious that it was a bunch of smoke and mirrors and people are hanging their hats on it. We've got to figure out a way to move water from places in New Mexico that have water to places in New Mexico that have people that don't have water. We spent over $600 million when I was in the legislature on the Pecos River, getting rid of salt, cedar, retiring water rights. They've got water. They've got a recharged aquifer. The question is, are New Mexicans going to say that was a great investment for dairy farms and cotton farmers, or does that water need to move up to Rio Rancho?
Especially, last 30 seconds here, especially if we start losing that water table.
That's right.
From all those wells that Dan's talking about there. Then we've got a compounded problem.
I think, too, though, to build on something that Dan is saying,
Please.
I think as we look at our economic development priorities and at those 40-year plans and things like that, we have, for the most part, failed to address, are we trying to attract water into, you know, I hate to say it, bless you Intel, but are we trying to attract water-intensive industries?
That's right.
And is that appropriate for a state like New Mexico, or is that frankly insane?
Rob, man, out of some time, then let me have you finish this segment. Who wins, who loses here? Small farmers, that's going to be about it. Who's the end result winner here?
I think the lawyers are going to win, first of all.
There you go.
I mean, he's talking about it's going to be votes and everything,
Sure.
that Dan is saying, but it's also going to be in courts.
I think that's the case.
It's going to be tied up
there,
in courts for dozens of years.
There you go. We'll be back in a moment as Bill Richardson pokes at Texas Senator Ted Cruz, then makes an effort to walk back part of that criticism.